Good afternoon. Was trying to get this second day stream of the Hannah Gutierrez Reed manslaughter trial for the shooting of Halyna Hutchins yesterday, but got kind of busy with wedding planning with my niece. And so we've got a short stream here. And so without further ado, here we go.
You may be seated. Sorry. Okay, I got to turn this down. I read on Google how to do it.
It looks like we're just kind of milling around still at this point. Let me speed it up.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning.
Looks like they have a bit of a sidebar before they call the jury in.
I hope this works. That's what they said to do. No, put the phone when I get a message. Jury.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, what?
Looks like we're still settling in. Let's see. Everybody's in their seats now, at least. I've got it on double speed, waiting for it. It's interesting to notice the body language a lot more when it's on double speed. Okay, here comes the jury.
Where are the headphones? George Daniel. Okay. All right, you may be seated. Let's wait. We need the headphones. All right, can you get your witness back on the stereo?
Sure.
Good morning, Ms. Powell.
Good morning. All right, you're still under oath.
Yes. Yesterday, we were discussing a Mary Kay bag that was located, I think, in the prop truck. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay, so,
Oh, you speak to the mic.
sorry. Yeah, go ahead and continue there. I am showing you what we've marked as State's Exhibit 44A. Do you recognize this?
Yes,
And what is this a photo of?
this is a close-up of what's inside that Mary Kay bag.
I'm gonna zoom in a little bit here. What are these over here on the right?
Those are spent blank rounds.
Okay. And what are we looking at here?
This-
Oh, I'm sorry.
What's the exhibit number of this?
This one is 44B.
44.
I apologize.
Thank you, no problem.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is an overall view of what's inside that Mary Kay bag.
Okay. And so were there things underneath these boxes?
Yes,
And what was underneath the boxes?
I believe there.
Do you know what we're looking at here on the side?
This is the outside pocket of that Mary Kay bag.
Okay, and I'm sorry, this is State's Exhibit 45. I need another cup of coffee. I'm showing you State's Exhibit 46. Do you recognize this?
Yes,
And what's that?
this is the inside of that bag once those ammunition boxes were removed, where you can see loose rounds.
All right, thank you. And State's Exhibit, excuse me, 47. What are we looking at here?
This is the middle portion of that bag.
Recognize State's Exhibit. And what is this?
This is a box of ammunition marked as dummy rounds 45 LC that was removed from that Mary Kay bag.
And State's Exhibit 48A. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
And what are these?
This is the foam insert containing dummy rounds that was removed from that box.
And how many rounds? 9. Do you recognize that?
These are those same rounds removed from the foam insert and laid out.
Okay. And what's the round that you have there by itself up at the top?
That round that's moved sideways posted a concern at first because it was not making any noise with ball bearings inside like the rest of the rounds were.
Is this the same Dentix round that we admitted into evidence yesterday?
It is not.
It is not. Okay. This is just a round that was in that box that didn't shake.
Correct.
Okay. And did you do anything with that round?
We sent that round to the FBI because it was of concern and their determination was that the ball bearings were stuck inside of it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. That was the reason it wouldn't rattle?
Correct.
Okay. State's Exhibit 50. What are we looking at here?
This is an ammunition box of marked as 3840 dummies that was removed from the prop truck.
And are all of the rounds in that styrofoam insert 3840 dummies?
No,
What other calibers in there?
some of them are 4440s.
All right. Any 45 Colt rounds in there?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. State's Exhibit 51. What are we looking at here?
This is a close-up of those same rounds.
Okay. And we can kind of see the head stamp there. Can you see that?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 52. What's this?
These are those same rounds laid out.
And the rounds over on the right-hand side, what are those?
The rounds that are over on that side that are laid sideways, those are the 3840 rounds.
These are the 3840s?
I apologize. Let me refer to my report.
Sure.
No, I'm sorry. Those are the 4440s.
And the chrome and shiny brass that we're looking at here on the left, what caliber are those?
Those are the 3840s.
Okay, great. In terms of the 4440s here on the right, do all of the 4440s that you have, dummy rounds that you have in evidence, do they all have that same projectile that we can see here?
Yes.
And is that projectile dissimilar than the projectile of the live rounds?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 53. What's this?
These are the rounds that were provided to Detective Hancock from Hannah Gutierrez during her interview.
Okay. And were they all dummy rounds?
Yes.
And the 5 on the left, do they shake?
No.
The one on the right, does it rattle?
Yes.
Rattle rather than shake, I apologize. State's Exhibit 54, what are we looking at here?
This is the close-up of the projectile that was recovered from Joel Souza's shoulder.
And just to be clear, this is the only projectile that was that was taken into evidence presumably from the injuries of the victims.
Correct.
Okay. State's Exhibit 55. What's this?
This was a bag of spent casings that was located inside the Mary Kay bag.
And State's Exhibit 56.
These are those same casings laid out.
And I see that you have some separated up here on the top left. Do you see those?
Yes.
I'm going to move to State's Exhibit 57. What's this?
This is a close-up of those same rounds.
The casings?
Casings, yes.
All 4 of these spent casings, are they all 45 long Colt or
Yeah.
45 Colt?
Yes.
And are they all Starline brass casings?
Yes.
It would appear that they all have silver primers.
Yes.
Are these casings basically identical to the casing that was taken from the scene and sent to the FBI?
Yeah, right. I'm objecting on the leading, and if it can be rephrased so it's not leading.
Sure. Did you find any spent casings on the prop cart?
Yes.
How many?
1.
And can you tell us what that one looks like as compared to what we're looking at here in States 57?
Yes. The casing that was located on the cart is a silver primer and states 45 Colt with the Starline brass logo.
All right, thank you. States Exhibit 58. Do you know what we're looking at here?
Yes.
And what is this?
This was a shirt collected from the scene that was marked as item 18.
Do you know which of the victims this belonged to?
I believe this was Joel Souza's shirt.
Okay. States Exhibit 59. Do you recognize?
Just from the opposite of you.
And let me stop you there. I'm going to go back to States Exhibit 58, and I'm going to blow it up here. Do you see here where it says marker 18?
Yes.
What does that mean to you?
What that correlates with is what I marked it with our crime scene evidence markers on scene. So it was marked on scene with a yellow marker that stated as 18.
Okay. States Exhibit 59. What writing do you have here?
I have it as from Med 60.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you again. I think you indicated that this was the same shirt that was in 59. Is it? Or I'm sorry, 58.
It is not. I apologize.
Okay, so let's move to States Exhibit 60. Do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what are we looking at here?
This is the shirt collected from Med 60, which was the ambulance, from a viewpoint of it laid completely out.
And who was wearing this shirt on the day of the incident?
I believe this shirt belonged to Halyna Hutchins.
All right, thank you. And these have already been admitted into evidence, but States Exhibit 61, do you recognize that?
Yes.
And Did you take this photo?
Yes.
And can you tell us where you took the photo and why?
This is the inside of Lieutenant Benavidez's vehicle, where the 2 boxes of ammunition that were handed to him were secured.
State's Exhibit 62, what's that?
This is a close-up on those ammunition boxes.
And in State's Exhibit 62, can you clearly see that label?
Yes.
Can you tell us what the label says?
45 long Colt dummies, JS.
And when you say JS, you're referring to those small letters in the center?
Yes.
All right. And State's Exhibit 63, what's this?
This is that same box.
Only, where was this photo taken?
This was in my office in my processing room.
Okay. State's Exhibit 64,
This is the inside of that box.
and this round here, we may have already discussed it. Was this round sent to the FBI?
Yes.
Was it determined to be a live round?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 65, what's this?
These are those same rounds removed from the foam insert and laid out.
Okay. And if you know, and if you need me to bounce back to the previous photo, I'm happy to. From looking at this, do you know which of these is that live round?
The live round in this case would be next to all of the rounds that have the hole drilled through the side.
Here?
Yes.
Let's talk about that. I want to make sure. Let me ask you this. When you took the rounds out of the styrofoam insert and you lined them up, did you line them up in the same order that they were in the styrofoam insert?
No.
Okay. Why did you put these 5 at the bottom by themselves?
Because they were a different type of round.
Okay. And so how are these 5 over here on the left different than the rest of the rounds from the box?
So they have the hole drilled through the side.
All 5 of them?
Those 4, and then the one on the end would be the live round.
Okay. This one right here.
Yes.
Alrighty. Thank you. State's Exhibit 70. Well, let me stop for a second. I think you testified yesterday that you participated in a search warrant at PDQ Props. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you collect any live ammunition from PDQ Props?
Yes.
Okay. And let's turn to State's Exhibit 70. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
And what is this?
This was a box of ammunition that was recovered from PDQ Props.
A box of ammunition?
Yes.
Was it live or dummy or blank?
Only live ammunition was collected from PDQ Props.
Okay. When you were there, were there other types of ammunition there also?
Yes.
Okay. State's Exhibit 71. What are we looking at here?
This is the live ammunition that was recovered from PDQ Props.
And this live ammunition that was recovered from PDQ Props, is it visibly different than the live rounds that were found on the movie set?
Yes.
And how is it visibly different?
So there were different types of live ammunition collected from PDQ, including different stamps on that ammunition.
And let me ask you this, the projectile shape, is the projectile shape different in these than in the rounds that were found on set?
Yes.
State's Exhibit 72, what are we looking at here?
So this is a close-up of some of that live ammunition.
And can you tell us what color primers the live ammunition from PDQ Props has?
This ammunition that we're looking at now had brass.
Okay. And that's, is that different than the live rounds that were found on set?
Yes.
Did you bring another piece of physical evidence with you at my request?
Yes, I did.
If you can help me.
With Asana, it's easy to monitor projects across teams and track status and progress at a glance, so you and your team can make smart decisions faster. Try it for free at asana.com.
I'm going to mark this item as State's Exhibit 91. Ms. Popple, do you recall yesterday when we discussed State's Exhibit 79?
Yes.
And remind us what State's Exhibit 79 is.
This was a live round that was deconstructed by the FBI.
And where did this live round come from?
If I can see the label on it, I apologize. So this live round originated from the box that was handed to Lieutenant Benavides.
Okay, and that's the box that just has the one live round in it that we looked at the photo of?
Yes, with the silver primer.
Oh, I'm not connected anymore. Okay, and that would have been State's Exhibit 64 for the record is what we're referring to.
Yes.
And what you brought me today, State's Exhibit 91. Let me try to get it out of the. Can you tell us what we're looking at here?
This was,
Let me back it up for just a second so we can see more. Okay.
this was a round collected from PDQ that was then sent to the FBI, and the FBI deconstructed it.
Okay. What was the purpose behind sending the live rounds from the set and the live rounds from PDQ to the FBI?
They did an analysis of the gunpowder components in both rounds.
Okay, great. So what we just saw in State's Exhibit 79, this is similar. Do you agree? It has a casing and a projectile and a container of gunpowder.
Yes.
Can you see the gunpowder that I've zoomed in on there?
Yes.
And does that look to be the same just visibly from just looking at it? Does that,
I'm not objecting to that.
I'm not quite sure what the way you're she's phrasing it.
Yes, it just, I guess, it's okay. Sometimes it sounds leading to me, but it's okay. We just go for it.
All right, thank you.
is this different than the other exhibit, the gunpowder?
Yes.
Okay, it looks different, right?
Yes.
Thank you. Give me just one moment to review my notes. And just for completeness, you also have a large amount of blank rounds in evidence?
Yes.
How many blank rounds do you think you have in evidence?
I would say probably close to 1,000.
And approximately how many gun belts do you have in evidence?
I believe 3.
And approximately how many guns do you have in evidence?
Around 15 or 16.
And those are real functioning firearms?
Yes.
Bear with me. I'll pass the witness.
Thank you. Cross exam.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Now, I want to talk to you first about your training and your job and what you've been trained on as a crime scene technician. Can you tell the jury a little bit about your training?
Yes, I have my bachelor's degree in forensics. I've had over 1,000 additional hours of in-classroom training over various different forensic areas such as blood pattern analysis, latent print analysis, crime scene reconstruction, those kinds of areas.
Okay, and has that included firearm and ammunition training and determining the difference between types of ammunition?
Not that specific, no.
Okay, so what is the scope of your training you've had on determining different types of ammunition?
I mean, are you specifically referring to?
Calibers, 44, 40, 38, 45. You've been trained on recognizing the differences?
That I have, yes.
Okay. And how about recognizing the differences between dummy rounds, blanks, and live rounds?
I have not been to that type of training, no.
Okay. So your testimony earlier, when you were talking about the dummy rounds and the various measurements and that, you have not been trained in that area?
No.
Okay. Now, part of your training in terms of verifying that a round is either a dummy or a live round is you need to send that to the FBI lab for confirmation. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Because some of the dummy rounds appear like live rounds. They look like live rounds, correct?
Yes.
In fact, the round that came out of the box we saw earlier that did not shake, you sent that off to the FBI lab because you wanted to confirm what that was, correct?
Yes.
And part of the thing the FBI does is they take apart the round and they determine if it has powder in it. Is that right?
Yes.
And when they do that, that tells them basically if it's a live round or a dummy. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
So would you also agree in your training that you've never been taught that you can eyeball a dummy and determine if it's a dummy or a live, or eyeball a round and determine if it's a dummy or live?
No, I've not been trained in that area.
Okay. And you would also agree with me that you can't look at a picture of a round and determine necessarily if it's a dummy or a live?
I would disagree with that.
And why would you disagree?
The rounds that have holes drilled into the side of them or the primers removed appear to visibly be dummy rounds.
And those do. Now, how about the rounds that don't shake, don't have a hole in them, and you're looking at that? You can't tell just by looking at it that's live or dummy, correct?
Correct.
And that's why you sent that one off to the lab again, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to show you what's been marked as defense I. Now, show counsel. You want me to approach a witness? Okay, ma'am, I'm gonna approach and see if you recognize this photo that we've just been talking about. I can introduce you to the master machine.
Sure.
And this is defense I. If you could take a look at that. You, ma'am, do you recognize that photo?
I do not.
Okay, and so you didn't take that photo?
No.
Okay. What is in that? I know we're not gonna move to introduce it, but what is in this picture?
It appeared.
Hang on, I'm going to object. She's never seen the picture before. She didn't take the picture. I don't think she can answer that question without it being completely speculative.
And I'm just asking her to identify it. What is it? Not to go into detail, but what is it? Just for the record. It's a picture.
Right.
I'm just asking.
I'm sorry, Mr. Bowles, since you're cross, can't you just lead her in that question? And
I
then
can,
we don't get
sure.
out in
I
the
just wanted
weeds?
her to say it. Yeah, that's fine. This is a picture with rounds in it in a box?
Yes.
Okay. And if I could have that back. Thank you. Okay, ma'am. So in terms of recognizing live versus dummy rounds, you would also agree with me that you have not been trained on the shininess of rounds and how that you can't tell a dummy or live from their shininess, right?
Correct.
Okay. And yesterday there was some talk about patine or a patina on some of the rounds. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And actually what that is just oxidation on the round case, correct?
Yes.
So in other words, when a round sits around for long enough, oxygen interacts with the metal and it's just going to turn a little color, correct?
Yes.
And because oxygen does that to the outside of a round, you don't know whether that it doesn't matter whether there's a patina as to whether it's live or a dummy, correct?
Correct.
Because they have the same cases.
Yes.
Okay. Now, with regard to the FBI, there were several things that were sent to the FBI. You testified yesterday for testing, correct?
Yes.
And there was DNA testing requested on the revolver that was used by Mr. Baldwin, correct?
Yes,
And you knew that that was submitted.
yes.
Now, yesterday you talked about somebody told you at the FBI that the live rounds could not be tested for DNA. You remember that?
Yes.
Who did you talk to specifically?
I don't recall who I specifically spoke to at the lab
Okay. Did you make that call?
to not send them.
No. Did you make the call to the FBI personally?
Yes, I did, along with their representative for our area, who was Agent Cortez.
Cortez. Okay. Now, were you aware that we had requested those rounds, fingerprints and DNA be taken from them?
That you requested it?
Yes.
No.
Okay. You were never told that?
No.
Okay. And you're also aware that those live rounds were never tested for their fingerprints.
I was not aware of that. It was my understanding that they were tested for fingerprints.
Well, then you're not aware that I asked Detective Hancock to do that and it wasn't done? You're not aware of that?
Objection to the former question. He's asking her to speculate.
Well,
How does she know what he says to Detective
He's,
Hancock?
he's not asking her to speculate, but she's answering your question about whether you are aware. I don't know if this, because I think you can follow up about why, what's the purpose of asking this witness about those things.
Yes. And yesterday you testified that these live rounds had been sent for fingerprints.
That was my understanding.
But that you didn't talk to Detective Hancock to see that she didn't do that?
It's my understanding that it got done.
Where's the report on that?
The FBI report on that?
Yes.
I would assume that the FBI would have it.
Okay. And are you familiar with that report in Mr. Ziegler's report?
I am not.
Okay. So you haven't read that recently?
Not recently, no.
Okay. So you don't have firsthand knowledge that those live rounds were tested for fingerprints, correct?
Correct.
So you're just going on an assumption.
It
That's what
was
you understood.
the information that I had from the lab.
All right, just wait, all right?
I'm sorry. Your Honor?
I'm sorry to interrupt. He's setting things. Okay.
Oh,
No,
okay.
sorry to
Oh,
interrupt
no,
you.
no, I'm sorry. Your Honor. Okay. So again, that was just what you thought, but it wasn't. Anyway, we'll get into that with Detective Hancock. Okay. With regard to your role as a crime scene technician, you also took a series of photos of different scenes, correct?
Yes.
And that included the church,
Yes.
and that included the prop truck,
Yes.
and that included Seth Kinney's business, PDQ, correct?
Yes.
Okay. With regard to the prop truck, do you recall when that search warrant occurred?
For the prop truck
Yes.
took place on October 27th.
Okay. And when did the search of Seth Kinney's PDQ business take place?
November 30th.
And then the incident on set, the shooting on set, that occurred October 21st, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So October 21st, the prop truck is searched 6 days later, is that correct?
Yes.
And then Seth Kinney's place is not searched for over a month, correct?
Yes.
So during that month period, you have no idea whether Mr. Kinney disposed of rounds or got rid of rounds. You have no idea whether that happened.
No.
Okay. And were you aware that Mr. Kinney had received rounds from the set of Yellowstone 1883?
Yes.
Because one of those things inside his shop said live 1883, correct?
Yes.
Now that, as I understand, that was empty at the time of the search warrant, correct?
No.
That canister was not empty?
The box marked live ammo 1883 is the only area we found live rounds.
Okay. Did he not have any other live rounds in that shop?
I don't believe so, no.
Because there were, and we'll show pictures in a little bit, but there were tons of ammunition boxes, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So did you search all of those boxes? Did you look into all those boxes?
I believe so, yes.
Every one of them?
I can't be certain.
Okay. Because there's a lot of them. You remember
Yes.
that? Yeah. Did you, in fact, just take Seth Kinney's word on what was live and what was not?
No, I know that boxes were dug through and it was a time-consuming process.
Okay. Now, you didn't seize all of the rounds from that 1883 can, did you?
I collected the live rounds that were in the box marked 1883 that were 45 Colt.
Did you get all the 45 rounds from that canister?
Yes, all of the 45 rounds.
And did you ask him whether he had gotten rid of some of the rounds or used some of the rounds prior to you all getting there for the search?
I did not interview Seth Kenny.
Okay. So you don't know the answer to that?
No.
Okay. Now, earlier, you showed a picture of the Mary Kay bag. You remember that?
Yes,
And there was a box inside it with blue writing that we saw. Do you recall that?
yes,
And it said something like dummy rounds 45 LC.
yes.
And you know that that's Seth Kinney's box, correct?
Yes, I know.
Okay. And that box was found in the prop truck?
Yes,
Okay. Now, you're not aware whether Sarah Zachary may have taken anything from the prop cart to the prop truck, or are you?
I do not know.
Okay. So if she had removed anything from the prop cart and taken it to the prop truck, you would not know that. Is that what you're telling the jury?
Correct.
So Seth Kinney's box, you have no idea whether that was on the prop cart, but it was moved to the prop truck, do you?
No,
Now, are you aware that you responded to the scene at the time of the shooting, right? Right after the shooting.
yes.
How long did it take you to get there after?
It took me several minutes. We had a meeting in our criminal investigations division first before we all headed out to the scene.
How long did it take you after those several minutes to get to the scene?
I do not recall.
Was it 30 minutes? Was it an hour? How long was the drive?
Was, I would say 30 minutes at most.
So when you got there, were you aware that other sheriffs had gotten there?
Yes.
At what time, how long after, if you know, did those sheriffs report after the shooting? How long did it take for them to get there?
I do not know.
Okay. At the time you got there, did you see whether Mr. Baldwin was segregated in a vehicle?
I don't recall.
Did you see that Ms. Gutierrez was, though?
Yes, I recall her being in the vehicle.
Do you recall seeing Alec Baldwin talking on his cell phone and just walking around?
No, I don't recall that.
You haven't seen any pictures like that or video or anything like that?
In the following days in media, yes, I've
Okay.
seen him on the phone in photos.
So you're aware now, you can tell the jury he was not segregated.
I do not know.
Okay. Now, with regard to your work on set that day, you took pictures when you responded to the shooting. Did you do any interviews, anything like that?
No, I do not interview.
Okay. And your job at that time as a crime scene technician is to secure the scene, secure the evidence. Would that be fair?
Yes,
Part of your goal in securing the evidence is to make sure that you get it right, you get the chain of custody right, and you make sure that's logged. Is that right?
yes.
Why is the chain of custody so important?
The chain of custody is essentially the tracking of where the item originated from to who has possession of it now and everything in between.
Okay. And if there is a break in the chain of custody, that's a problem for you in terms of verifying that evidence, correct?
Yes,
Now, if before you got there, Miss Zachary had thrown rounds away and she had taken items from the prop cart to the prop truck, that could cause problems with the chain of custody, correct?
well, if someone were to remove evidence from a scene, it wouldn't just cause problems for chain of custody, it would cause problems because we no longer have that evidence.
Correct. In fact, if you don't have evidence, it's lost. That's a serious problem in a case like this, correct?
Yes,
And this is a death investigation. So you would ideally want all of the evidence that might be relevant for a jury to see later, correct?
yes.
Now, are you aware here that Miss Zachary actually threw those rounds away?
Beyond my scope of knowledge.
Okay. And again, we're talking about those getting thrown away. But now let's talk about if items were taken from that prop cart to the prop truck before you got there, would you agree that breaks the chain of custody? It disturbs the scene. Would you agree with that?
Yes,
So in other words, when you get there and you take pictures of the prop cart, you wouldn't know if that's how it looked at the time of the shooting, would you?
No.
And we saw a picture of those boxes that went into Deputy Benavides' truck. Do you recall that?
yes,
Now, later on, I know you put them back in the cart to take pictures, correct?
yes.
So, and I know you weren't intending to do something, but when you placed them back, you have no idea if that was where they were before.
That was not the reasoning behind placing them into the scene.
I understand, and I'm not trying to say you're reasoning a certain way. I'm just saying that you did not know when you placed them back for a picture that that's exactly where they were before.
Correct.
So when the jury looks at a picture of the prop cart now, they don't know if that's where those were at the time of the shooting. That's not your fault. I'm just saying that that's a fact, correct?
Correct.
And in terms of evidence, when you're trying to, as a crime scene technician, you don't want people, for example, to reach across the crime scene tape and either grab evidence or put evidence on a cart, correct?
Correct.
Now, similarly, you would not want, as a crime scene technician, for an officer to handle a weapon with his bare hand. That wouldn't be ideal, would it?
No,
And in fact, you're trying to get DNA later and fingerprints, but did you see the camera of the deputy Benavides that handled that weapon with his bare hand?
Yes.
Okay, and again, that's not ideal, is it?
No.
In terms of that, those rounds, you talked about the box, and you talked about different boxes that were found in that day, correct?
Yes.
Now, you have no idea whether Miss Zachary or Miss Gutierrez Reed used those rounds on a day and then put them back in a different box, do you?
No.
So if you, for example, if these rounds were used the day before and they were changed out into a different box, you would have no way of knowing that, would you?
No.
So in other words, when we just went through on direct examination that these rounds came from this box and these rounds came from that box, you really have no idea where those rounds originated from, which box, do you?
My statements for where they originated at that time.
Yeah, so that was just that day. But my question is, you do not know if 3 days before these rounds were in that box and these rounds were in that box. Is that fair?
Yes.
Now, and I'm not, well, when you say that the boxes were handed to Benavides, isn't it true that actually he just grabbed those boxes?
I do not know.
Okay, so when you said they were handed to him, you really didn't know that.
No, that was the information that I was given.
Okay, but again, the lapel cam, everybody can watch it and see it, but for example, it doesn't look like anybody handed it to him. But you haven't seen it?
I'll just object to the formal question. She's indicated that she knows.
No, you're right. No, she's right. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I'll move forward on that. Now, I do want to show you some pictures that we're going to label, and I think by stipulation that we would ask these to be introduced. And if it's possible, if Mr. Bullion could.
J through N.
J through what?
J through N.
M as in Mary?
N is in Nancy.
All right, so they're moving for the admission. Do you have any objection?
I don't have any objection as long as they are certain that these are photos that Ms. Popple took.
Well, usually you would take the photos and see if she recognizes them.
There's quite a few, Judge. It'll be much faster to get it this one.
All right, if the state isn't objecting.
Let's just show her what you have.
5 of them, right?
No, I think.
There's 5 sets of photos.
Oh.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right. J through N is admitted. It's a series of photos. You may publish.
Thank you, Your Honor, and we'll try to move fairly quickly through this.
The jury can stand up from top. Is that what you're asking?
Which one do you want to start with?
Okay, if we can start with the photos from the Seth Kenny business, PDQ props.
Mr. Bowles, are you intending to admit every single photo there?
Yes.
Yes, but we don't want to show them all.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
we're just going to kind of.
no problem.
Okay. And ma'am, can I first ask you, did you say that you would take all of these photos?
Yes, all of these photos.
Okay. And again, this is from the search warrant of Seth Kenny's business in November? Okay.
Yes.
Now I want to say, just quickly, what is this shot?
This is the back alley entrance into the building.
Okay, next.
That same alley entrance.
Excuse me, can you say on the record which exhibit It's J. They're enhancing.
All right, Mr. Williams.
When you switch to K, let us know.
Yes.
When you switch to K, let us know.
Yeah.
You can't get those pictures any bigger, just out of curiosity. I mean, it's up to you, but.
Yes, can we make those a little bigger, Mr. Williams? Zoom.
From that back alley.
Okay, next.
Again, a different angle from the back alley. The gate leading into the back alley.
Now, is this how this looked? Okay, this one too. This is how this looked when you went in?
Yes,
Does that appear to be disorganized?
yes,
And again, this one is very disorganized?
yes. This is, yes,
The next one? Okay, what is that one?
I believe this was a look into a closet.
Okay, and is there pizza boxes there?
Yes,
Did you know if he lived here too, Seth Kenny?
I do not.
Okay, you go to the next. All right, and is that the one, Mr. Blaine, with the rounds? If you can show that. Okay, what are these we're seeing?
These were boxes and boxes of ammunition.
And this is what I was kind of mentioning earlier. There was a lot of these, correct?
Yes,
Okay, and there was other places where these were. Okay, here are these more boxes?
yes,
And are these all different kinds of ammunition?
I believe so, yes.
And again, I think you said you couldn't recall whether you all went through all those boxes.
No, I could not recall.
Okay. And keep going. Okay, we're flipping kind of quickly, but what is this? This and more ammo boxes?
Yes,
Now zoom in on this. Did you see any of them with the JS?
yes,
And you know, that's a fairly common box. Have you seen that in Seth Kenny's business as well?
yes.
Now these ammo boxes in general, you're aware, aren't you, that they can be purchased off the internet for 25 or 10 bucks?
I don't know that. So.
Okay. I mean, but these are standard little white boxes. They're all over the place. Are you aware of that?
That they're standard white box. Yes.
Okay. And I mean, you're familiar with these, aren't you, in your job? You see these type of boxes?
I see ammo boxes, not necessarily all white ones with certain stamps on them.
Okay. Well, how often do you see JS?
Not a lot.
Okay. But you do see them from time to time.
Not that I recall.
Okay. Well, there's a lot there.
Well, yes, in this case, there were a lot of JS boxes, but in my 7 years crime scene tech, I haven't seen a lot of JS boxes.
Do you know what JS is?
No.
Okay. Okay. Next one. Again, we got 32 Smith & Wesson, 22. These are more ammo, right?
Yes.
Okay. Next.
More.
Again, the JS. Is that the JS there?
Yes.
Okay. If you can move forward. Okay, and what are these?
These are spent casings.
Do you see the primer, how it's dented?
Yes.
What is the significance of that?
That means that this round has been fired, so a firing pin has created that indent in this casing.
Are you aware that there's a thing where a primer can be slightly dented, and then if it was struck again, it could go off? Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
If a hammer hits a primer and it doesn't strike it hard enough, it can create a small indentation or dent in that, correct?
I think this is pretty far outside her scope of expertise, and we've got plenty of other witnesses who can.
Sure, we do. Okay, we do. Okay. If you can move to the next picture, Mr. William. And then again, what are, just, you give the jury just an idea of what these are. Is that more ammo?
Yes.
Okay. And again, that's and that one in particular was just in a gray tub.
Yes.
Okay. And the next one. What are some of these pictures?
This was the front room area.
Okay. Again, is that more ammo boxes in this particular picture?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and again, is that a JS notation?
Yes.
Okay. Then you can move forward, please, Mr. William. Okay, when you go back one, is that a gun belt?
Yes.
Okay, you go forward. Again, more ammo?
Yes.
Okay, and we've seen enough of those, unless you have anything in particular, but that's, we get the flavor of those. If you can move to the church pictures.
Is that K now?
There's a couple.
Okay, go ahead, put those up.
We're still in J.
Okay, what is this picture?
This was a box that was located marked live ammo 1883.
And again, that was what we talked about earlier?
Yes.
Okay, and what is this one?
This is an overview of where that box was located.
Okay. And finally, what is this one?
This is what was inside of that box.
Okay, and there's several in that live ammo, there's several boxes here, correct?
Yes,
What is that? What were those that said lead?
I don't recall.
Okay, you don't recall what was inside those?
No.
Okay. They're labeled various types. Did you
In them, I only collected 45 live rounds out of them.
loose rounds around it?
Those were, I believe some of them were live 45 rounds.
Okay, were those collected?
Yes.
And how about these?
This was a close-up of what was in that box marked 45 LC.
Okay. And you know what is in this picture?
This was a green ammunition box that was located.
And these appear to be more dummy rounds. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. If we can move to K. While we're finding that, I have a couple more questions. The round you talked about in government or states 49 earlier, it had ball bearings in it that didn't shake or apparently were stuck inside. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And that was the one you sent off to the FBI lab.
Yes.
So that would have been a round potentially on set that didn't rattle.
Yes.
And that so that would have been a round potentially on set that did not rattle, correct?
Yes.
But you had to send that off to the FBI lab for confirmation to determine that, correct?
Yes.
And that's not something either Ms. Zachary or Ms. Gutierrez Reed had the luxury of on the set, did they?
No.
Okay. We also heard yesterday Ms. Morrissey shook a round into the microphone. You remember that?
Yes.
And asked everybody if they could hear it?
Yes.
Again, that's not something Ms. Zachary or Ms. Gutierrez Reed had the luxury of on set, did they?
Of rattling around?
Of having a microphone so they can rattle it and have everybody hear on a microphone.
No, they didn't have a microphone.
Okay. Okay, do you have the church pictures ready?
Yeah.
Can we put those up? Can you just quickly tell us kind of what we're looking at here? Is this David Halls?
Because I was taking a photograph of the back of Mr. Baldwin.
Okay, so earlier, did you tell me you didn't see Mr. Baldwin?
This was the only inner clothing that he had on. Well, when I
Well, right then he's standing outside. How long did you see him?
my interaction with him was probably less than 10 minutes.
Your Honor, she's indicated that she has no idea whether he's segregated or not, and we have plenty of other witnesses that can reasonably answer this question.
That's okay. He can ask that question and I
And
think
then
he
I'll
got
move
the
forward.
answer.
Yes, and I'll move forward. Okay. Okay, so ma'am, what is this?
This is the outside of the church.
Okay. And this one?
Another angle of what's outside the church.
Do you know what the card is that we just saw?
I'm not sure what you're referring to, the cart that's in the photo now.
Yeah, just we went by it. If you could go this one.
That was one of multiple equipment carts that was located outside.
And when you say equipment carts, were these, so these were on set productions carts when you got there?
Yes.
Okay, keep going. And what is that? That big structure in the back of that photo?
Are you talking about the small structure? Or are you talking about the white structure?
The white structure.
I believe that was the prop truck.
Okay. And do you see that that appears to be outside of the crime scene tape?
Yes.
Okay, and these are more photos of the church, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. What is that?
The prop truck. This one is M.
M is in Mary.
Okay, just a minute. Did we finish K and L or?
Yes.
Okay, well, all right, so we went into K. You didn't tell us when we went into L. All right, let's make sure that when you send them to the jury, they have them properly marked, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All
Yes.
right, M.
Okay, this is M is in Mary, this series. Now, what is this here?
This is the outside of the prop truck.
Okay. And move, if you can.
Side door entrance into the truck.
Okay. And this is the interior?
Yes.
Okay, and this is a gun belt in the interior of that truck?
Yes.
Okay. And what are these? We're seeing now that we're zooming.
Hi, Matt. I was just on another tab. 8 a.m. Been having some trouble with StreamYard crashing for some reason. It's kind of frustrating, but it's better than the computer crashing.
All right, we're going to take our morning break. Please don't talk among yourselves or anyone else about the evidence received here in court. Thank you.
All rise.
All right, you may be seated. As a reminder, you all need to have your badges. That's, Barry Massey and Beth Wojan went to a lot of trouble to prepare them, to get you in, and you need them when you come in here, okay? All right, very good, thank you. You don't need me, I'm gonna go. All right, you may be seated.
Can you speak again?
Yes, can you hear me? Okay. Hey, George, if you could help me.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask permission at this point to publish exhibit in the N series, and I'll be labeling as we go.
The
individually.
N as the Nancy series?
N-
Okay, so what happened to the M's? Because we just started with the M's and then I interrupted you, so.
We're done with that.
Okay, all right.
If you could please tell the jury what that is.
This was a gun belt that was located in the prop truck.
Okay, and N2.
A different angle of that gun belt.
Okay, and how about N3?
This is a close-up of some of the rounds that were in that. I believe in this case, in this photo, they all look the same.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to show you N4, and what is that?
That's that same photo, but a little clearer. It's not as blurry.
And are those primers, what color are those primers?
Those are silver.
Okay. And how about N5?
This is a different area of the gun belt close-up.
And it has, I see 45 Colt rounds, is that correct?
Yes,
And some silver primers?
yes,
Now, were any of these on N5 determined to be live?
no,
So these are dummy rounds with silver primers.
yes.
How about N6?
This is a different angle of that gun belt.
N7?
A different angle of that gun belt.
And is that the same with N8?
Yes.
And what is N9?
This is a close-up of the brand marking that was on the belt.
And what is N10?
I believe these were the rounds that were in the belt that were removed from it.
And they all have that, what you called yesterday, that patina?
Yes, that darkening on the casing.
Okay. And how about N11?
This is those same rounds with the Spain Denix round removed.
The Spain Denix round was the round that didn't shake.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And N12?
This is a close-up of the silver primer on those rounds.
How about N13?
This was a box of ammunition that was taken from the prop truck.
Okay. N14?
A close-up of some of the writing on that box.
Okay. N15?
Those boxes removed from the cardboard box.
All right. And N16, is that just one of the boxes?
Yes.
N17, what is the significance of that photo?
This was the writing on the outside of that box.
And that has the JS also?
Yes.
And what is N18?
This is the styrofoam insert removed from that box.
N19?
A close-up of a different cardboard box with ammunition from the prop truck.
Okay, what is N20?
This is an overall of the Mary Kay bag from the prop truck
Okay, and again, we see in the middle of that Seth Kinney's box with the writing.
with the blue writing that states dummy rounds 45 LC.
Okay. Again, N21 appears to be a similar picture. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and N22, that is just another picture of a box.
Yes.
Okay. And N23?
That box with the styrofoam removed from it.
Okay. And what is N24?
These were items taken out of the Mary Kay bag and laid out.
Okay, what is that on the top left? What is that item?
My apologies. Your left.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I should have thought about that. It's on my left. It's as you're looking at it up on that screen, it's the top left, right above the insert.
I believe it was a bracket of sorts that was bent.
Okay. And then on the far right top, is that just a cloth of some sort?
I believe that was one of the sock covers for the firearms.
Okay. And can you tell the jury about that? Did they keep these firearms in a sock cover?
Some of the firearms were kept in sock covers, is what they were referred to as.
Okay. And are you familiar with those sock covers?
Not particularly, no.
Okay. I'm going to go on to N25. Again, is that the same kind of photo of the gun, sock, and then the other two items you have there?
Yes.
And what is the significance of the Q-tips?
They were in the bag, and I was documenting everything that was inside that bag.
Okay. How about N26? Again, we see an insert from a box. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. N27, what is that photo?
This is a close-up of the center of the Mary Kay bag.
Okay. N28 is just a picture of another box. Is that right?
Yes.
Any significance to this particular box?
I took photographs of every single box of ammunition before it was opened and then after it was opened.
Okay, ma'am, and that was from the prop truck? You did
Yes.
that? Okay. And N29, again, is that Seth Kinney's box with the blue writing?
Yes.
N30, what is that photo?
This is the inside of that box and the rounds that were inside of it.
Okay. And these rounds have silver primers as well?
Yes.
And I think you indicated 16 were dummies?
They were all dummies.
All dummies. One was suspected live.
One was unknown, which is why it was sent to the FBI.
Okay, that was the one that did shake.
Yes.
And again, you don't know these rounds that are in this insert right now, you don't know if they were in there 5 days before October 21st.
No.
You have no way of knowing. N31, is that same picture?
Yes.
And N32?
These are those rounds removed from the foam and laid out for photographs.
And same thing on N33?
A close-up of the bottom of those rounds.
Okay. And N34?
I believe this is a close-up of those rounds in the box.
Okay. And I have no further questions on those exhibits. And that's all the questions I have.
You want redirect?
I'm sorry, Hannah. Ms. Popple, you were asked a series of questions about the search of PDQ props. So I'd like to ask you some questions about that. Hang on, let me get myself situated with my notes. Hang on just a second, I'm missing something. Search of PDQ props. Did law enforcement officers assist you?
Yes.
How many people were present, if you recall, at the search of that location?
Myself, Detective Hancock, and Sergeant Christopher Zook.
And it looked like there was a lot of stuff in there. Is that right?
Yes.
But what's your understanding of what kind of business PDQ is?
That they provide props to movie sets.
Do they have to have props to provide props to movie sets?
I don't, yes. And that would make sense.
Did the entire business appear to be full of movie props?
Yes.
Okay. And the live ammunition that you found was just that one box, is that right?
Yes.
And when I say the one box, the gray box that had boxes in it,
Yes. Marked as 1883.
and it was marked clearly as live.
Yes.
And that was the only live ammunition you found there.
Yes.
And Mr. Bowles asked you and showed you some photos of ammunition that was at PDQ that had the JS on the label. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Did you find any 45 long Colt dummies when you were doing your search of PDQ props?
I don't recall.
Would it help you if you looked at your report?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you take a minute and look at your report? Did that refresh your memory?
Yes. There was at least a gun belt that had dummy ammunition in it.
Other than that gun belt, did you find any boxes of 45 long Colt dummies?
I believe so, yes.
You do.
There were, you know what, I apologize, it's not specified in my report if there were additional dummies specific to 45 long Colts located. Our intent was only to find live ammunition at that point.
That was the reason you were searching it.
Yes.
Okay. Did you find any boxes, if you recall, and if not, because it wasn't the focus of your search, that's fine, just tell us. Did you find any boxes of ammunition that match the one that's on your screen?
I don't recall.
If you were to, not that I'm going to ask you to do it now, don't worry. If you were to take some time and review all of the photos that you took at PDQ, do you think that would help you answer that question?
Yes.
Okay, great. And it's my understanding, based on your cross-examination testimony, that in terms of the live ammunition, you only collected 45 caliber ammunition.
Yes.
Was there other caliber live ammunition?
I don't believe so.
Okay. So the 45 long Colt live ammunition that you collected that we looked at photos of, that's the only live ammunition that was there.
Yes.
Okay. You were asked some questions on cross-examination about, you wouldn't know if Sarah Zachary moved evidence from the prop car to the prop truck. Do you recall that question?
Yes.
And let me ask you, do you know whether Ms. Gutierrez ever took anything out of the prop truck before it was searched?
No, I do not know.
Mr. Bowles asked you some questions about whether you've received any training in how to distinguish dummy rounds and blank rounds from live rounds. Do you recall that?
Yes.
And you indicated you haven't received that training. Is that right?
Correct.
So in your experience, are movie set crime scenes very common?
No.
Do you have training in guns and ammunition?
Yes, I do.
And are you capable of measuring things?
Yes.
So without specific training, you are capable of measuring the 6mm projectile or the 4mm projectile, because you can use a ruler, right?
Yes.
And you did that in this case.
Yes.
And are you capable of distinguishing brass primers from silver primers?
Yes.
Are you capable of distinguishing different shaped projectiles?
Yes.
Based on your work on this case, how do you tell a dummy round from a live round?
In this case in particular, when a large amount of the dummy rounds, when shaken, would have a rattle to it instead of having gunpowder inside of it.
And so specifically, what about that tells you that they're dummies and not live ammunition?
Well, live ammunition has gunpowder inside of it, so you would not hear that kind of noise.
Because you don't have BBs in with the gunpowder.
Correct.
Okay. And the other dummy rounds, how were you able to distinguish them from the live rounds?
There were holes drilled through the sides of them.
I mean, this isn't rocket science, right?
Right.
This is pretty easy.
Yes.
And you actually, just to be safe, you sent some dummy rounds to the FBI, right?
Yes.
Did any of the dummy rounds that you sent to the FBI come back as live rounds?
No.
In terms of the dummy rounds that you have in evidence, how many dummy rounds don't rattle and don't have a hole in the side?
2.
Thank you. 2 out of how many?
250.
When you were at PDQ doing the search, is there a specific reason that you were only looking for 45 caliber rounds?
My understanding was that was the restriction of the search warrant.
Based on your understanding of the investigation, why are 45 caliber rounds significant and others not significant?
Because all of the live rounds that were located on set were 45 rounds.
And to be clear, let's talk for a moment about the live ammunition that you collected from PDQ. What color were the primers?
There were silver and brass primers collected from PDQ.
In terms of the live ammunition?
Yes.
And do you have photographs of the live ammunition that has silver primers?
Yes, I believe I do.
Okay. I may have to have you come back. We may talk about that. I don't want to hang us up today. Did all of the live rounds that you collected from PDQ, let me ask it this way, did any of them look identical to the live rounds found on set?
No.
Thank you. I'll pass the witness.
Finished with this witness.
Oh, yes. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
oh, that's all right. Okay, thank you.
The state will call Christopher Zook.
You swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead. Have a seat. Talk into the microphone, please.
Go ahead and state your full name for the record.
Christopher Zook.
And Mr. Zook, how are you currently employed?
I am currently retired.
And where did you retire from?
The Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office.
And back on October 21st, 2021, how were you employed?
I was a sergeant for the Sheriff's Office in the Criminal Investigations Division.
And in that capacity, did you become involved in the investigation regarding the shooting on the movie set Rust?
I did.
I want to ask you specific questions. Did you participate in a search of the prop truck?
I did.
And were firearms located in the prop truck?
Yes.
Where were they located?
In a safe.
Were they removed from the safe?
Yes, by CST or the criminal specialist Popple.
The lady that just
Yes,
left.
the one that just left. Yeah. She was
Okay.
the one that unloaded or took him out of the safe.
And when she took them out of the safe, what'd she do with them?
So it was a large box truck that the safe was in, and I was standing outside of the box truck at the back of it, and she would take them out and put them on the bed of the floor of the truck at the opening of the back door, and then we would clear them and then take them into evidence.
Okay, so you were responsible for clearing the firearms.
Yes.
That was not Ms. Popple's job.
No. Well, there was a couple of us that was making sure that they were unloaded and cleared and all that stuff because we don't want a loaded firearm in our evidence locker.
Sure. And did you come across a lever action rifle?
I did.
And tell us about that.
I do not remember the make or model of it. It was a lever action rifle. The way I was unloading the lever actions, they were an old style gun. I did not know where the magazine or the tube was on that. So what I was doing is just going through.
The motion of a lever action for those of us that don't know what that means.
Do you mind if I sound?
Sure.
Okay. So a lever action rifle, it's right there by the trigger. There's just a little, oh, it's a lever, and you just rack it back and forth, and it will take it from the magazine and put it into the tube. And then when when the round is spent, you do it again and ejects it. And then while you're coming back, it will reload another round. That makes sense?
Yes.
So you have to do the action, a lever action.
And when you're doing the lever action, do the rounds inside just fly out?
They eject out. They're supposed to.
Okay. And that's what you were doing to unload it?
Yes.
Were you able to unload that gun?
No, not all the way. I believe I was able to unload at least a round or two, and then there was a round that was jammed.
And do you know what caliber of ammunition that lever action rifle took?
It was a 44-40.
And do you know why it was jammed?
Because the round that was in it was a 45, which is just like very slightly bigger.
Okay. It was enough to jam the
Yeah,
rifle?
that is correct.
Okay. All right. I'll pass the witness.
For the second year in a row, Chevy Equinox has been ranked by J.D. Power #1 in new vehicle quality for compact SUVs. In other words, it's really good right from the start. Chevy Equinox.
Do that again.
Connected by OnStar.
Hi, sir. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So, sir, are you familiar with those types of Henry rifles?
I'm not.
And so you're not aware that you don't have to lever that to extract the rounds?
I do now, but at the time I did not know that.
Okay, so now you're aware that you don't have to work the lever to get those rounds out.
Correct. On the end of the tube or the magazine that I found out later on, we had our gun expert at the sheriff's office. His name is Deputy Steve Orr. I had him come into our ammunition room, which is covered in cinder blocks. So if it did go off, people are safe. And he showed me actually at the end of the tube, there was a part where you just twist and the round came out. So I know now, but at the time I did not.
Okay, so at the time you're working the lever, just twist that and they'll fall out.
Correct.
Okay. Now you knew after the gun expert got it out, it was a dummy round.
I'm going to guess if I say yes or no on that one. So
Okay, don't guess. No, don't guess. So you weren't aware one way or another whether it was a dummy or another type of round?
No, I handed it off to our evidence technician, and she was going through all the rounds to see if they were dummies or not.
Okay, sir. I don't have any further questions.
Just one follow-up. Were you present when Deputy Orr was removing the ammunition from that gun?
Yes.
Did the 45 caliber round come out easily?
No, it was actually jammed in the barrel of the gun. So once Deputy Orr showed me, hey, this is how you do it, we were able to take a couple rounds out, and the round was big enough it would not eject out of the ejection port. So we actually had to manipulate the round down into the tube, and then it eventually came out of the tube. So it did still fit into the tube, the magazine, but not into the barrel itself.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So it was jammed in the barrel.
Yes.
Okay. So even when you were there with Orr and you were doing it the easy way, unloading it with his knowledge, that round still didn't want to come out.
No, we had to manipulate it to get it out.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
May I ask one more question? So I don't have to recall them for this.
Sure. No objection.
Sir, just one last question. When you levered it, that jammed the 45 round in the barrel?
Yes. Yes. So I know there was at least a round. I don't remember if there was more than that. I know there was at least a round. So when I chambered it, that round got ejected, and then that 45 round came from the tube and went to the barrel. And that's where I freaked out. I thought I damaged the gun. Okay. But once I started trying to get it out, it wasn't even grabbing to get it out or anything. So it did jam it. So I did jam it, but I guess, assumed that all the rounds that were in it were the correct rounds.
Yes, sir. Okay. Thank you.
All right, your excuse, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next witness.
Let's take call Brian Litzinger.
Oh, is that your curling iron? Unplug it. You got. Oh God. Why is the camera?
Hey folks, my name is Chris, and this is my furry friend Lucky. This isn't for the faint of heart. Don't look, Lucky. As a 25-year firefighter veteran, I've seen how crucial it is to be prepared. House fires. In the U.S. alone, we experienced 358,000 house fires a year. This is why we prepare your fire blanket I'm telling you about. It's as lightweight as children, adults, elderly, and maybe even dogs. Just pull the tabs, unfurl the blanket, and cover the fire. Unlike standard fire extinguishers, there's no residual mess to clean up. And the best part, you can use it multiple times. Just wipe it down, fold it back up, and use it again. It's capable of quelling fires from wood, paper, grease, even electric appliances. Prepared Hero boasts more than 210,000 satisfied customers and a rating of over 4.7 stars. Even seasoned firefighters and fire
Do you swear or affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, have a seat, talking to the microphone.
Go ahead and state your name, sir.
My name is Ryan Litzinger.
Ryan, I'm sorry. I thought it was Brian. I apologize.
That's
Mr. Litzinger, how are you currently employed?
I am employed as a videographer and editor with a production company in Albuquerque.
And tell us about that production company in Albuquerque. What do you do?
So we are, we outfit productions with crew, camera, lighting, sound, DPs,
What's a DP?
director of photography. And we're also a rental house, so we also rent equipment.
Did you, I'm sorry.
Crewing as well. So like staffing different productions.
Okay. You help provide crew members.
Yes,
Okay.
to different productions. And, like I said, also a rental house.
Okay. At any point in time, were you asked to do any work on the set of Rust?
Yes.
What work were you asked to do?
So we were asked to, we were contracted to do duties of an EPK, which is stands for electronic press kit, which is something that a lot of productions have.
Give us more information. We don't know what an EPK is or why.
Okay, so basically there are days that are, reserved for behind the scenes, and there's also days that are reserved for cast interviews, and that together makes an EPK. And what the production company will do with that is up to them.
Okay, so specifically, what did you do on this film? And if you can tell us what dates you did it.
So October 13th, 2021 and October 15th, 2021, we shot behind the scenes footage and also captured production audio together. And we also conducted cast interviews.
Okay, and in terms of I'm not so interested in the interviews, but in terms of the behind the scenes footage, describe to us, what are you filming and why? Are you just filming?
So a lot of the time we try to get just the action in between action and cut is when a lot of times, you'll see directors planning what they want to do next, talking to the actors, wardrobe changes, audio, tweaks, anything like that. And that's really important for, people that are interested in watching the making of, or, whoever kind of gets this footage, you know what I mean? That's interesting to them. So that's what happens on behind the scenes. We try to focus on, the DP, the director of photography, the director, and the actors. I mean, that's a lot of what we do.
So you're not actually filming clips for the movie. You are filming the actors and the crew working on the movie set.
Yes. Sometimes, that's, yes, a majority of what we do is we film the actors and the crew on set working and doing their jobs. But sometimes we're at a place called Video Village, which is basically a setup where, people watch the scene that's being filmed, and we will sometimes shoot that. So it's just video of the actual movie being filmed. Sometimes we'll be there.
Understood.
up to them.
Okay, so specifically, what did you do on this film? And if you can tell us what dates you did it.
So October 13th, 2021 and October 15th, 2021, we shot behind the scenes footage and also captured production audio together. And we also conducted cast interviews.
Okay, and in terms of the, I'm not so interested in the interviews, but in terms of the behind the scenes footage, describe to us, what are you filming and why? Are you just filming?
So a lot of the time we try to get just the action in between action and cut is when a lot of times, you'll see directors planning what they want to do next, talking to the actors, wardrobe changes, audio, tweaks, anything like that. And that's really important for, people that are interested in watching the making of, or, whoever kind of gets this footage, you know what I mean? That's interesting to them. So yeah, that's what happens on behind the scenes. We try to focus on, the DP, the director of photography, the director, and the actors. I mean, that's a lot of what we do.
So you're not actually filming clips for the movie. You are filming the actors and the crew working on the movie set.
Yes. Sometimes, that's, yes, a majority of what we do is we film the actors and the crew on set working and doing their jobs. But sometimes we're at a place called Video Village, which is basically a setup where, people watch the scene that's being filmed, and we will sometimes shoot that. So it's just video of the actual movie being filmed. Sometimes we'll be there.
Understood. But even when you're filming in Video Village, you're filming people working.
Yes, they're working as well. Yes.
You're showing the director of photography looking at the monitor and seeing what is being filmed.
Yes.
Okay, understood.
Mhm.
And I think that some of this will make more sense a little later on. Go ahead, sir.
Oh no, I was going to say if I'm not.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Just for people who aren't familiar with what you do, because I'm not going to show the videos today. We're going to show them later in the trial. Did I subpoena videos from you?
Yes.
And did you provide me all of the videos that you made on the set of Rust?
Yes.
And recently, did I send some of them back to you for you to review?
Yes.
How many videos did I send back to you for you to review?
I counted 17.
Do you recall approximately how many videos you sent me in response to my subpoena?
I do not.
Can you estimate? Can you give us an estimate?
It could be over 100.
Okay.
I mean, it could be.
Yeah.
I would have to, I didn't count, but
It's okay.
it could be over 100.
Okay. I'm happy with your answer, but
Do you have a number?
I don't have the number, but I have all your files.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. If you'll just give me a moment to switch gears here.
I'd actually like to know what the real number is.
No problem. May I approach? You can just approach. That's right. Does this file look familiar?
Mhm.
Oh, that's the. Those are the seven.
Mhm.
Forget that. Okay. Do you see how it looks?
Mhm. That's about. That's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just about, how much
Yeah.
content there was.
How
This
many
was a long
videos? How many videos did you give me?
126.
Okay, thank you. And the 17 videos that I sent back to you for you to review, do you recognize those videos when you looked at them?
Yes.
And are those the videos that you filmed?
Yes.
And those specific 17 videos, what videos?
That was October 13th, 2021.
Thank you. So what I would like to do at this point in time is I would like to move for the admission of all videos from production outfitters that the court deems relevant and admissible as we move through the trial.
No objection.
All right, these will be of the 17.
Minor of the 17, I think the defense intending to admit also.
Sorry, okay.
So this is kind of a joint.
Yes, stipulation, we'll do it this way, and I will so admit.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Ryan, not so fast.
First time I don't have any questions for you. You mentioned Video Village. How exactly does that work? What is that?
That's an external monitor that is separate from the cameras that are being used by the film crew. It's separate so that they can watch that. The director and the director of photography can watch what's happening separately.
Okay. And are you generally familiar with film sets and things like Video Village and whatnot?
I see quite a few of them.
All right. When that kind of system goes down, how do people have to adapt on set?
When a system like Video Village will go down, I haven't seen it go down, but I would imagine that they would probably.
Hang on, I'm going to object because I think it's speculative at this point, but I also think that there are going to be plenty of witnesses who can talk about what they did in that when it went down.
That's fine.
All right, thank you.
Did you witness any scenes actually being shot when you were on set?
Yes.
Did the scenes involve Mr. Baldwin?
Yes.
All right. Did he seem to be in command of those scenes?
Objection, foundation.
Judge, he said he saw it.
Overruled.
Okay.
Well, the one that sticks out, he wouldn't have been in command because I think that it seemed that he was on a horse and he was playing dead. So it wasn't really much of a.
Okay. And what I'm talking about more so is, insofar as the pace of filming and things like that, did he seem to have an influence on that?
Sorry.
Hang on just a second.
We can don't talk.
In the various scenes that you saw Mr. Baldwin in, did he seem to be in control of how the scene was actually being shot and how quickly he was asking other people to work?
Like I said, that so they were a short amount of time. What?
Second.
I don't know. Did you make any edits to the videos that you sent Ms. Morrissey via subpoena?
No, there was no edits to the videos.
All right, thanks. Nothing further.
Any redirect?
Just quickly. Mr. Litzinger, you expressed that you have some familiarity with the monitors in Video Village,
Yes. Yeah.
and you filmed inside Video Village on the set of Rust, didn't you?
Yes.
So let me ask you this. The monitor that the director of photography is looking at in Video Village.
Yeah.
Are they only looking at what?
I can see multiple cameras.
Right, but can they see anything that is not being recorded by a camera?
Yes.
How?
Like I said, some of those monitors are attached to other cameras.
But if the cameras aren't rolling, how are they able to see through the monitor?
That's a specific question to what kind of monitors they are.
Okay, that's beyond your knowledge in terms of what they had on this movie set?
I mean, yeah, I don't know what
No
kind
problem.
they're using.
No problem. We'll talk to somebody
Yeah.
else about it. Thank you, sir. I
Yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
your
All right,
time.
you're excused. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
The next witness is, should we take a early lunch break or should we keep going?
I think the next witness isn't going to take very long, so if we can get
Okay, sure.
him done, and
Yes.
then we'll go to lunch.
Fine.
Jason Hawks
Okay.
is who the state will call next. Shadow and the Elmo.
Can you call more affirmatively? Thank you. Do you swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, have a seat. Talk into the mic. Thank you.
Sir, please state your name for the record.
Jason Hawks.
How are you currently employed?
I own a company that analyzes device extractions and cell phone records for attorneys.
Lucky you. Mr. Hawks, can you give the ladies and gentlemen of the jury some information about your background and training?
Certainly. So I started in law enforcement in 2005 with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office. I remained there until 2017, with the last about 7 years being assigned to investigations. After leaving the Sheriff's Office, I went to the District Attorney's Office, where I was an investigator for the DA. I was there for 3 years, and then I started this company. Specific to device extractions, I've attended classes from Cellbrite, which is a company that extracts information from a handset. I'm a certified operator, certified physical analyst, and I've recently taken the advanced smartphone analysis.
How did you become involved in this case?
I was contacted by the prosecutor's office, I believe it was about a year ago, in March, late March, I believe, 23.
And were you asked to perform any work?
I was.
Let me back up for a second. Have you been, I apologize. Have you been qualified as an expert witness in cell phone records and device analysis?
I have.
And how many times have you been qualified as an expert in those areas?
Between records from the carrier and records from the handset, I've been qualified 53 times in 5 states.
Do you recall what those states are?
Let's see, Texas, Louisiana, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona, 6 states, in California.
Okay, and now you're here in New Mexico.
Now I'm in New Mexico.
I would ask the court to recognize Mr. Hawks as an expert in cell phone records and device analysis.
No objection.
All right, so you're so recognized.
Now you get to add New Mexico to your list. Mr. Hawks, can you explain to the jury kind of what kind of technology you're using and kind of how the cell phone records interface with the software, the extraction software?
Sure. So our smartphones are essentially a bunch of databases that are stored. So programs like Cellbrite go in and they extract the information from the handset, and they do it in a way that doesn't change the nature of the artifact. So if I receive a text message but don't read it, it doesn't change that unread status. So at first, all of the information is removed from the handset, and then it's parsed through Physical Analyzer, is the name of the program. In Physical Analyzer, the information is essentially put back together, and it's converted to whatever time zone it needs to be converted to.
In this particular case, what kind of work did you perform?
I reviewed the Cellbrite extraction of Ms. Gutierrez Reed's her iPhone.
When an extraction is done, does everything on the phone get kind of downloaded?
Unfortunately, not everything. So not all of the information is always recovered, but things like text messages, phone calls, images, things like that, are downloaded from the handset.
And when you took you received the raw data from the extraction that was done of Ms. Gutierrez's phone, is that right?
Yes,
So just to be clear, you yourself did not perform the extraction.
that's correct.
Do you know who performed the extraction? Not the person's name, but the agency.
The regional computer forensics lab here in New Mexico.
So how did that data come to you?
It came to me on an external hard drive.
And when you received that data, what did you do in order to conduct an analysis?
So I opened the data in the physical analyzer program, which essentially takes the extracted data and runs it through the most current version of the program. And with that, it breaks out the data into various different categories.
Okay. And what kind of categories?
Everything from cell sites that the phone might have seen, images, videos, audio files, notes, text messages, iMessages, voice logs. There's most of the data that we see on our phones is accessible to the program.
And were you able to separate out information related to this particular device that identifies this device?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what I am marking as States Exhibit 92. May I approach you? Do you recognize that?
I do.
What is that?
This is the device information that was captured by the Cellbrite program for the phone.
How do we know that this is Hannah Gutierrez's phone?
Well, I mean, I received the extraction of the phone. There's some information on here, such as like the phone number and email address, things like that, that would suggest that it is.
Okay. The phone number's on there?
Yes.
Permission to publish? Yeah. Let's just kind of look at a couple of things here. I know it's, see if we can get a little closer up. Does this tell you what kind of? Oh, I'm sorry. Does this tell you what kind of phone it was?
It does.
What kind of phone is it?
So on number 6, you can see where it says detected model. It says iPhone, and then in parentheses, it says D as in David, 54, P as in Paul, A as in Adam, P as in Paul. That's the iPhone code for an iPhone 12 Pro Max.
Okay. And I'm sorry, does this monitor usually come on? Because I can't see. That would be great if I can see it on the monitor in front of me so I don't have to walk back and forth. My eyesight isn't good enough to see what's up there. Thank you, sir. Does it provide the date and time of the extraction?
The date and time of the extraction is actually on a different part of the extraction.
What's in the number 2 column?
That is the
or
date.
row rather.
I'm sorry. That is that's the date and time that the phone was displaying at the time of when it was extracted in UTC.
Okay. So what is your understanding about the date? I don't particularly care about the time, the date of the extraction.
That the extraction occurred on December 8th of 2021.
And is there an Apple ID associated with this phone?
There is.
What's that?
So that is number 22 under Apple ID, where it says hannahmemail@gmail.com.
And what is the phone number associated with this phone?
The phone number is on line number 24, which is 928-444-3555.
What's the owner name of this phone?
The name that would appear on, say, a Bluetooth device is found on line 32, which is Gorilla Grip Pussy Pal.
Okay. And did you, at my request, did you separate out some contact information for one of the people in the contacts of this phone?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what I'm marking as States Exhibit 93. May I approach? Sir, do you recognize States Exhibit 93?
I do.
What is that?
This is the contact information for a contact stored as Dadcula.
I'm sorry. I'm already publishing.
Any objection
No objection.
to the admission and publication?
Generally speaking, what information does this sheet have with regard to the contact Dadcula? And if you could spell that for us.
Sure, it's DADCULA exclamation point. So what it has is information about that person's contact info, their WhatsApp phone number, their telephone number, when it was added as a contact, that sort of thing.
What's the phone number for Dadcula?
The phone number is 323-365-2189.
All right, thank you. At my request, did you sort of pull out text messages from the date of October 20th, 2021?
I did.
I'm going to show you what I'm marking as States Exhibit 94. And there are 3 pages to this exhibit.
Okay. Did he identify it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Skip this step. May I approach? Mr. Hawks, do you recognize that?
I do.
What are we looking at there?
We are looking at a text thread between the 928 number I already referenced and a 505 number.
Permission to publish and first move. I'll move for the admission of 92, 93, and 94, and then I think we're also going to do a general moving like we discussed.
Okay,
No
so,
objection.
all right, so you may publish.
When we're seeing this text message here that's on the screen, is this a text message from that phone or to that phone?
It is a text message from the 928 number to the 505 number.
Okay, and can you read it for us?
The content?
Yes.
Yes, it's LOL. I don't need that tonight anyways. Right on. I might go smoke in the jacuzzi soon, but maybe not. I'm so pooped.
Okay, and I'm going to show you the second page of Exhibit 94. And is that a text to or from Ms. Gutierrez's phone?
It is from her phone.
And it is to the 505 number?
Correct.
And if you can, and what's the date?
The date is October 20th, 2021 at 7:48 and 46 seconds PM local time.
Okay, and can you read that for us?
It says, headed down to get high out back, :B.
I'm going to show you the third page of Exhibit 94. And what's in the blue?
So the blue is an incoming message from that 505 number to her phone.
And just for context, what does that message say?
That message says, "Time to eat now. How the blaze says go."
And then is there and what time was that message sent?
So that message was received by the phone at 8:24 and 46 seconds PM, in red at 8:25 and 47 seconds.
Okay. And so this is the time that it was received,
Correct.
and this is the time it was read.
Correct.
And then is there a response to that text that we're looking at here in green?
There is.
And what time is that sent?
That is sent at 8:50, 8:25 and 53 seconds.
And this is from Ms. Gutierrez's phone to the 505 number?
Yes.
And what does that text message say?
It says, "I'm still smoking."
Okay, thank you. Did you sort of separate out for me a short thread between Ms. Gutierrez's phone and the Dadkula contact?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what I'm marking as State's Exhibit 95. State's Exhibit 95 is a 2-page exhibit. May I approach?
Yes.
Mr. Hawks, do you recognize that?
I do.
What is that?
These are messages that were exchanged between the 928 number and the Dadkula contact on November 8th of 2021.
Approximately what time?
It starts at 4:08 and 36 seconds, and it ends at 5:36. I'm sorry, 5:24 and 38 seconds.
I move for the admission of State's Exhibit 95 and ask permission to publish.
No objection. All right, State's 95 is admitted, you may publish.
And that message, is that from the 928 number?
Correct. So any of the messages that are in green are from the 928 number, and any messages in blue are from an outside number.
Okay, and can everybody read that? That way I don't have to have Mr. Hawks read it. And then I'm going to show you the second page, if everybody's had a moment to read that. I'll show you the second page. And in the second page, what are we looking at here?
So the top blue box is the response from the previous message that says "will do," and then beneath that is an image that was sent to her phone from the outside number.
What are we looking at there?
We're looking at a thumbnail of the image that was sent to her phone. So the image name is img_0686.heic, and we're looking at the inset thumbnail.
And were you able to collect that actual photo for me so we don't have to look at a thumbnail?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll get there in a minute. At my request, did you separate a text thread between Ms. Gutierrez, the Dadkula contact, and a contact by the name of Jason Bowles?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
And Mr. Hawks, do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is that?
This is part of the text message thread that you were just referencing.
And what's the date of that text exchange?
What is in front of me here starts on December 1st, 2021 and ends also December 1st, 2021.
Okay, give me just 1 second. I move for the admission of State's Exhibit 96 and permission to publish.
No objection.
Page 96 is admitted, you may publish.
Can you just briefly explain what we're looking at here?
Sure. So the top blue box is a message from the Dadcula contact to Ms. Gutierrez's phone. And the second blue box is an incoming message from Mr. Bowles' number to Ms. Gutierrez's phone.
So was this a?
Your Honor, sorry.
Mhm.
We approach just a
Oh, sure. Mr. Hawks, let me back up for just a moment. How do we know that 3 people were involved in this text conversation?
So the Cellbrite program will pull out text threads. So if you and I have a text thread and you and I and another person have a text thread, those are 2 separate threads in my phone. So what we're looking at here is a thread that was between these 3 people.
Okay. This is not a thread that was only between Ms. Gutierrez and Mr. Bowles.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Has everybody had an opportunity to read that? I'm going to show you the second page of State's Exhibit 96. And Mr. Hawks, can you tell me what we're looking at here?
Yeah, we're looking at a continuation of that same text thread. So the top blue box is an incoming message from the contact from Mr. Bowles. The green box beneath that is an outgoing message to both, because it's a group thread. And then the bottom blue box is an incoming message from the Dadcula contact.
Okay. Everybody have an opportunity to read those? I know they're pretty short, and at this point, they may not make much sense, but we're getting there. I'm going to show you the.
One of the jurors didn't see.
I'm going to show you page 3.
And counsel approach, please. Okay, jury, we're going to break for lunch. Please don't talk among yourselves or anyone else about the evidence received here in court, okay? And thank you. We'll be back at, what do you all want? 12:40 or what? 1 o'clock? What do you want?
Is one possible, Judge?
You sure it is? Okay, 1 o'clock. Okay. All right.
All rise.
Okay, and counsel, because he's still under oath and still testifying, please don't talk with any other witnesses about this case.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. All right, so counsel will be back at 10 of, and just in case there's anything to address. Okay, thank you. We're in recess. So you're not on court TV, period. So that happens, you're out of here for the rest of the trial. All right, thank you. All right, let's call in the jury.
Let's hear that. I jumped it ahead a minute because they were milling around and something happened.
And I'm absolutely bothered that someone went on court TV and then took pictures of the exhibits. So you're not on court TV, period. So that happens, you're out of here for the rest of the trial. All right, thank you. All right, let's call in the jury. Did we get everything straightened out? Counsel, I don't want to rush it, but did we get that straightened out, or do you need more time?
Thank you.
Okay, wait. Also on the court TV, also on the record, another order is that court TV is ordered to redact the phone numbers that were put up on the text messages because their phones are blowing up. And the solution obviously is redaction from here on out. But I'm going to say that the people that were taking pictures contributed to that. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So let me know when you want to call in the jury.
Oops. All right, is that better? We're going to go back through real quick some of those text threads that we had on the Elmo, and we're going to have you read the content, okay?
Yes.
So I'm going to place on the Elmo what was previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 96. Can you go ahead and just read that and remind us if this is a message that was sent by the phone or received by the phone?
Sure. So this was a message that was received by Ms. Gutierrez Reed's phone from the Dadcula contact that says, get someone to show her a single action gun and how it works. They don't go off by themselves. And then beneath that is an incoming message from Mr. Bowles' phone to Ms. Gutierrez Reed's phone that says, yes, I sent her this manual I got today also.
What's the problem?
Do you want me to just read them?
Just read them. Let's just, we gotta get this done. Thank you, sir. There's a State Exhibit 96 that I handed you. Can you just go ahead and read it? Explain to the jurors what you're reading, given that they've already saw it.
Yeah, so this is, sorry, this is Exhibit 96. The first page I've already I've just read. The second page,
And Mr. Hawks, what's the date of these conversations?
sorry, this is December 1st, 2021. The second page starts with a message from Mr. Bowles to Ms. Reed that says, "I think I sent this," with an attachment. Beneath that is an outgoing message from Ms. Reed that says, "Yeah, honestly, that gun won't go off unless he fully cocked it." And then the final message on that page is a message from the Dadkula contact that said, if someone could just show her, she could see a transfer makes no difference. The final page starts with an outgoing message from Ms. Reed that says, "Yeah, we got some that just aren't long barreled. They're the same thing." And then finally, message from the Dadkula contact that says, "Exactly."
May I approach? I'm going to hand you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 95. And would you go ahead and do the same thing with 95?
Certainly. So 95 is from November 8th of 2021. And the first message is an outgoing message from Ms. Reed that says, "Hey, I need you to check out my boxes and send me some pictures of our boxes of dummies." The second page starts with an incoming text from the Dadkula contact that says, "Will do." And then beneath that is another incoming text message with a photograph.
And at my request, did you separate that photograph? Did you isolate that photograph for me?
Yes.
All right. I'm going to show you what's been previously entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 69. And we're going to do this the quick and old-fashioned way. Can you see that?
Yes.
Sorry for the dirty screen. What is that?
That is the image that was sent via text message, via iMessage to Ms. Reed's phone from the Dadkula contact.
Thank you, sir. May I approach? Mr. Hawks, in addition to doing some work on Ms. Gutierrez's cell phone extraction, did you also do some work on cell phone extractions from some other folks involved in this case?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember their names?
There was a woman named Sarah. I don't remember her last name.
Okay.
And a gentleman whose name I don't remember. But
Okay.
I'm sure I would if you refresh my memory.
Well, I'm going to leave that to defense counsel, and I will pass the witness.
Thank you. Mr. Bowden.
Thank you, Judge. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You mentioned you did some other extractions. Does the word Dave Halls ring a bell?
Yes.
All right. Is that the other phone that you looked at?
Correct.
All right. And Judge, if I can publish just to his screen, please.
Can I just go stand in there
Sure.
so I can see what's on the screen? Is that okay?
You can stand there, stand here, wherever you like. It'll be quicker to do it this way because then I can publish it if the judge admits it. Okay.
Here, why don't I just stand here
Yeah.
and I'll look over your shoulder? That's perfect. Sorry.
Yeah, that works. All right, sir, what are you looking at?
On that screen, on your screen is different. I don't mind. No, sir.
All right, what are you looking at here, sir?
I'm looking at the first page of a PDF of a Celebrite report that was done by the New Mexico RCFL
All right,
of the phone that you just asked me about.
all right, and can you scroll down to the second page?
Yes.
All right, so what is this device information? What does this tell you?
So this is a summary of the data that is in this PDF report. It involves chats, native messages, which are, in this case, iMessages, WhatsApp, emails, timeline, and then data files, which include images and videos.
Okay. Is there information about deleted information on this device?
There is.
Can you tell us about that, please?
So the report indicates that there's one deleted iMessage and one deleted WhatsApp. In addition to that, there are 5 deleted emails, and there are some deleted images, but without knowing what the images are, I don't know if they're things that he actually deleted or if they were cached images that got purged.
And how many images are notated on the report as being deleted?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, help yourself.
Sorry. So there's 152,237 images total, and there's 1,438 that are deleted.
You just hold on.
And then 3,214 videos with 7 deleted.
Okay. And when you're looking at a device and you see that something's been deleted, what does that actually mean? What is that telling you?
It means that it was deleted and recovered. So if I delete something from my cell phone and it's overwritten, or that memory is actually purged, then it's not recovered and there's just no evidence of it. So this shows that there were items that were deleted and recovered by the program.
All right. And you have no way of knowing if additional things were deleted because it just wouldn't be extracted. You wouldn't have the information to look at.
Correct.
All right. And in your experience, do you know that sometimes happens?
I know that it can happen. I mean, if it's not there, I don't know that it was there to begin with and was deleted, but it certainly can happen.
Actually, I'll just leave this here with you. Sir, if you can go to the emails page on that document.
I do.
All right. There's about 20 emails in Mr. Hall's extraction here. How do you know that these are actually his emails?
So there's incoming emails. The top one is an incoming email. Just to avoid what we had earlier, it's to a Gmail address. So that means that account was installed on the phone, and this is an email that was received by his phone, signed into an email address associated with it.
Okay, so that physical phone has access to that email address.
Yes.
Okay. Judge, I would move to conditionally admit defendant's exhibit 01. Thank you. And so you had mentioned emails being deleted. Can you say with certainty that emails were deleted from Mr. Hall's phone?
We'll celebrate recovered deleted information. So yeah, so it was recovered from deleted. It's a recovered deleted email.
Okay. And the email that, if I could approach again. All right. Sir, I'm handing you what I've marked as Defendant's Exhibit P. Can you look at the first 2 pages of that document, please?
Yes.
All right. What is that?
This is an iPhone 11.
Is it Sarah Zachary's phone?
I'm looking for the device name.
Council approach.
And I may just go to stipulate.
Well, no, I need you.
The state will stipulate that what Mr. Hawks is looking at is a cell phone extraction of the witness, Sarah Zachary.
Judge, may I retrieve my?
Yeah.
Thanks. All right, so with both Mr. Hall's phone and Sarah Zachary's phone, are the dates and timestamps listed in the extraction for text messages and emails, are those accurate?
Yes.
And how do you know that?
So everything in our phones in these SQLite databases is stored in UTC by default. What Cellbrite does is it converts it to whatever time zone we want to convert it to. In this case, Mountain Time.
Okay, so the foundational testimony you gave at length regarding my client's phone would apply with equal force to both Mr. Hall's phone and Ms. Zachary's phone?
Yes, these are things that are written at the time.
Okay. Did you have any other role in this case? Did you do any other work in this case?
No, my primary role was to help the prosecutor sort of sift through various pictures and that sort of thing to make sure only images that were native to the phone came in, not cached images or things that were beyond her control.
You mentioned on direct exam that there are some things that you don't get in a extraction. Would one of those things be something stored on a cloud, like an iCloud?
It depends. Are you referring to a document or an image?
Why don't you describe both?
So if we have things on our iCloud, typically it can be stored also locally on the phone and on the iCloud, or in the case of photographs, your phone may keep a little thumbnail that is a link to your iCloud account. So in that case, the original photo would not be on the handset. It would be on the cloud, but that thumbnail is essentially a gateway to the original image.
Okay. If something is just on the cloud and you don't have a gateway, as you described, is there a way to actually go get that information?
You could get it with a search warrant.
Okay. Did you discuss doing any kind of search warrant to retrieve images or texts or video from Sarah Zachary that she may have in the cloud?
No.
No. Do you recall having a email discussion on October 12th, 2023 with Ms. Morrissey about this subject?
I don't. I know that Miss Morrissey, if you're telling me I had one with her, then perhaps I did. I sent her some various subpoena language. I don't remember this iCloud being part of it, but if you're telling me it was there, then I did.
Would looking at the email refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Like the approach? Sure.
Right, yeah. This doesn't have anything to do with the search warrant or subpoena.
Okay, this is for refreshing recollection, so you've seen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
See if you can refresh it.
Let me know when you finish reading it, please.
I assume I read all of it, correct?
Just the top one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
If it's refresh your recollection, let me know. And if not, let me know.
Yeah, so this is what I was referring to as far as
So you're going to give that back to him, and he's going to ask
Yeah.
if this refreshes your memory to the question he asked you.
Yeah, did that refresh your memory, sir?
what I think I meant by that, and I'm not really sure, so I can't say with 100% certainty if I was referring to, I'm sorry, you have a question beyond that, or it refreshed my recollection of the conversation. Yes.
Okay. So on Miss Zachary's phone, you were requested to get text, videos, and photos from September 15th, 2021 to November 21st, 2021. And you indicated that there were some photos that were not on her phone, but might be on her iCloud account. Did you have further discussion about how you might go obtain those photos?
No, I think what we're referring to the same thing. I believe my recollection is that I'm referring to the thumbnails. So if I were to download a thumbnail from a phone and you were to put it onto a television screen, it just gets blurry as opposed to the actual full-size image. That's my recollection of the full-size image maybe on the iCloud.
Okay. And you said in here that there are no entries on the phone or image metadata, right?
Correct.
I don't have anything else. Thank you.
Thank you.
Redirect.
Just real quick, Mr. Hawks. Is it possible for a person's phone to delete things without the operator of the phone intending for that to happen?
What do you mean specifically?
And I thought there was a discussion earlier when we were off the record that sometimes the phone automatically deletes certain things. That's what I'm referring to.
So you're referring to cached images.
Right.
So when we go to a website or social media, our phone will capture a series of images, and those images go into what's called a cache folder. And after a certain amount of time, that cache folder automatically will delete. But that's not from the person's camera roll.
And it wouldn't be from their email either.
Email contents?
Oh, I'm speaking about what Mr. Bullion was referencing with regard to Mr. Halls's deleted data.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
It wouldn't, no.
Okay, I just wanted to square that up. Thank you. I don't have anything further. Appreciate you.
Excuse.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness.
And just for the record, I'm going to reserve just in case we need to
Okay.
bring it back.
You're reserved. Don't talk to any witnesses.
The state calls Catherine Rowe Walters.
You swear affirm under penalty of law that the testimony you'll give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? All right, have a seat, talk into the microphone. Thank you.
Go ahead and state your full name.
Full name Catherine Elizabeth Walters.
Thank you. And do you go by Rowe?
Yes, ma'am.
Alrighty. Ms. Walters, were you a member of the crew of the movie Rust?
Yes, ma'am.
And what role did you have?
I was a unit production manager.
What does a unit production manager do?
A unit production manager is the person on set who is making sure the day-to-day operations go smoothly.
All right. And are you familiar with Ms. Gutierrez?
I am.
Your role on set, if a crew member needs something, would you maybe be the person they would go to?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want to ask you, did Ms. Gutierrez ever specifically request from you additional training time with Mr. Baldwin?
Not to me.
Did Ms. Gutierrez request generally additional training days as an armorer from you?
No, not for me.
We understand that there was a prop truck on the movie set, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
During the filming of the movie, before the incident that occurred on October 21st, when filming wasn't going on, so in the evenings or on the weekends, how was that prop truck secured?
There's a side door on that truck, and the back roll-up door are secured by padlocks.
And so that happened even prior to October 21st?
Yes, ma'am.
And who would lock the truck in the evening or for the weekend?
Either it would be the department heads or it would be the Teamsters who were maintaining the trucks.
And so were they combination locks or key locks?
I believe they were key locks, but I don't remember.
Can you tell us who had access, who had the keys, who could go get in the prop truck?
It would be anyone. It would be anyone who had the keys to do it. The department heads were the ones that usually had keys or combinations.
Who were the department heads? Can you just give us their names?
Sure. So for props, it was Sarah Zachary. For armory, and I believe that Sarah and Hannah shared keys. The other department heads would have been Sergey and a couple of others that I honestly don't recall, but they would have had keys to their trucks.
And they have keys to the locks that lock the truck?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you have a key to the locks?
No.
Well, did Ms. Gutierrez reach out to you a couple days after Ms. Hutchins' death and ask to meet you at the prop truck?
Yes.
And why did she want to meet you at the prop truck?
She was getting ready to head back home and wanted to grab some personal effects off the truck.
And were you able to provide her access to the truck?
Yes.
How were you able to do that if you didn't have the keys?
So after the incident occurred, we had the Teamsters pull all of the locks off the trucks and had a different set of keys so that the only people who would have access were myself and the Teamster captain were the only two people who had those access.
And why would the Teamster have access to the truck?
Because they were the ones, if they needed to move it for any reason, do any maintenance, any of those things.
Okay. You have actual Teamsters that are working on the movie set that are maintaining the trucks.
Yes, ma'am.
And driving the trucks.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So when Ms. Gutierrez, do you recall the date that Ms. Gutierrez asked you to meet at the prop truck?
I do not.
Do you agree that it was just a couple days after the incident?
I do.
Okay. And do you know everything that Ms. Gutierrez took out of the prop truck?
I do not.
Did you see any of the items that she took out of the prop truck?
I saw a few things, but I don't remember exactly everything.
Can you just describe to us the few things that you did see her take out of the prop truck?
I remember a couple of gun belts, and I think I remember a couple of cardboard boxes, but nothing other than that.
Okay. And Ms. Gutierrez took these items from the prop truck prior to the police executing a search warrant on that truck. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. I will pass the witness. Thank you.
Prosecutor?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, in addition to Ms. Gutierrez Reed, you allowed other people to get their personal effects as well, didn't you?
From the set?
Yes.
Yes.
So after the incident, the law enforcement cleared the scene and everybody thought it was clear, correct?
Correct.
And so you allowed multiple people to get their personal effects. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So it wasn't just Ms. Gutierrez Reed.
Correct.
Okay. Now, with regard to that said, I want to ask you, were you aware of the camera crew walking off
Yes.
and they were disgruntled?
Yes.
When did they walk off that set?
I received resignation emails the night before.
Okay. So this was the night before the incident, the night before the shooting. And these camera crew, and how many of them walked off?
My memory says 6, which was the full team.
So the full team, the full camera crew walked off set. So for the set next day, you have to get a new camera crew.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And were you in charge of that?
It was a joint effort between myself, my line producer, Gabrielle Pickle, and our producers as well.
Are you and Miss Pickle, do you talk on the set? Did you talk quite a bit? Did you talk daily?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I don't want to get into hearsay comments, what somebody else said, but were you aware that Miss Gutierrez Reed had requested additional training of Mr. Baldwin?
For Mr. Baldwin, no,
Okay, you never had that discussion with her?
No.
But do you know whether Miss Pickle did?
I honestly don't remember.
Okay, so let's go back. You and a couple more people are trying to get the camera crew. Is that right? And did you get them for the next day?
We did.
Okay, you had to scramble. I mean, that night, is that make calls that night?
Yeah, I was making calls at night and very early the next morning.
The camera crew that walked off because they were disgruntled, did they come to the set that next morning?
They did.
Do you know what they were doing the next morning? Did you watch them or did you see them?
Yeah, I was with them for part of the morning. They were retrieving their own personal effects off of the camera truck.
Okay. Did you see any of them walk around to other parts of set, or were they just getting their effects?
From what I remember, they were just around the truck.
Okay. The prop truck during the day, that was not secured during the days of set. Is that correct?
As far as I know, it was not secured, no.
Okay. So during the day that filming goes on, and what are the hours of that generally?
Generally, we would start anywhere between 6 and 7 a.m. and go till 7 or 8 p.m.
Okay. So for approximately that 12 or 13 hour period, whatever it would be, that prop truck was open.
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. Theoretically, everybody on set could have had access to that prop truck.
Theoretically.
Okay. Now you said that it was you and the Teamsters that would secure that truck after hours. Is that right?
It would be the department heads and the Teamsters.
Department heads and Teamsters.
Yeah.
Who was the person, the Teamster in particular, that would do that?
I do not remember his name.
Okay. After the shooting, do you remember who that Teamster, who that captain, I think you said was?
I would honestly have to go back through my notes. I cannot remember his name right now.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
And do you have your notes, or?
I do not.
That's okay. Okay. So you don't remember his name?
I do not.
Okay. Did you check every night before you left to make sure that prop truck was locked?
No.
Okay. Now, with regard to Miss Gutierrez Reed, my understanding is that you never heard any complaints about her.
I did not.
Okay. And that was the entire time of the rest set.
Correct.
Okay. Let me ask you also, after the incident, after the shooting, I understand you went into the church approximately 2 days after.
That sounds correct, yes.
Okay. And you were going to remove media?
Yes.
Is that right? Were
Yes.
you trying to assist them to remove the media from the camera to see if anything had been filmed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And that was with regard to filming of the actual shooting, correct?
Yes, sir.
And were you able to remove that?
I was.
Were you able to determine whether there was any filming?
Of the incident?
Yes.
There was no filming of the incident that was recorded.
Okay. Do you know whether anybody may have had access to that camera after the shooting and before you removed the media?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. When you said there was no filming, are you familiar enough with that camera system to know whether, if they're looking through the monitor, that it has to be rolling?
They can look through the monitor whether it's rolling or not.
Okay. So your knowledge of that camera is they can look through it without it rolling?
Correct.
Okay. Now, with regard to that prop truck search, you were present for that search, correct?
I was.
And you also present for that search was Seth Kenny.
Yes, he was there.
Okay. And you remember why Seth Kenny there? Did he go to provide the code?
No, I think he was there because a lot of the firearms that were there were his. So he was there to be with the sheriff's office.
He was there with the sheriff's office when they arrived? Okay. Do you know whether he was let into the prop truck? Do you recall that?
I do not recall.
Okay. Were you in the truck or outside when the search happened?
Outside.
Did you look inside the back of that truck?
I did.
Did you see that prop cart in the truck?
I do not recall.
Okay. Now, if it was in the pictures, would you have any idea why the prop cart was in the prop truck?
I am confused by your question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Let me ask you this way. If the prop cart was in the prop truck, do you know who must have moved that into the prop truck?
I can make an assumption, but I do not know for sure
Yeah,
who would have
don't-
moved it.
No, don't guess. And
Yeah.
If you don't know, you don't know.
No.
Okay. All right. You indicated you got keys to the locks for the prop truck after the incident.
Yes, sir.
And you said the captain Teamster had one too.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have the combo to that gun safe?
No.
Okay. Now, you talked a little bit about Baldwin and the safety training. Did you ever observe that training that was done with Baldwin?
I saw it from a distance, but I was not close enough to hear anything.
Okay. Did you observe that Baldwin was not really paying attention?
His back was to me and they were up a hill. I do not know.
So you don't know that. Okay.
No, sir.
On the On the set, after it was over for the day,
Mhm.
you're aware that Ms. Gutierrez Reed, Ms. Zachary, everybody had to basically clear out. They had to leave. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. So at the end of the day, it's fair to say they weren't accorded time to clean the prop truck because at the end of the day, they needed to go.
Correct.
And during the day, Ms. Zachary, because the set's pretty busy.
Yep.
You agree with that? During the day, they're doing their prop jobs and their armor job duties, those kind of things, correct?
Correct.
So there's no time really to go back during the day, take a break and go back and clean everything. And there's not at night either, is there?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Hannah. I don't have it.
Redirect.
Ms. Walters, I want to be clear. Between October 21st and October 27th,
Mhm.
did anyone other than Ms. Gutierrez request to get items out of the prop truck?
Not to me, not to my knowledge.
It was only Ms. Gutierrez that you gave access to the prop truck between the 21st and the 27th.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And on the movie set, did you guys hire security guards?
There was 24-hour security at the gate, but they did not walk around on set.
Okay. But if someone were to try to drive in,
Mhm.
they would encounter that security guard, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And is this location convenient to get to?
Not really.
Okay. I think you indicated on cross-examination that no one complained to you about Ms. Gutierrez. Do you recall saying that?
I do recall.
Isn't it true that one of the reasons that the camera crew indicated they were leaving was because of the accidental discharges from firearms on set?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. On hearsay, that would be the basis for that.
Well, I'm basically impeaching her because she indicated.
Council approach, just you two.
Ms. Walters, do you know if one of the reasons that the camera crew left was because of accidental discharges on set?
They cited safety concerns, yes.
Did they specifically say accidental discharges on
I
set?
believe so, yeah.
Okay. And Mr. Bowles asked you about the camera crew coming the following day to collect their belongings.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think you indicated that they stayed at the camera truck.
Mhm.
Is that right?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay. And is the camera truck and the prop truck the same thing?
No.
In your experience, do people on the camera crew frequently bring their own equipment, stands, cables, stuff like that?
Sometimes, yes.
And did they on the set of Rust?
Yes, they did.
Is that your understanding of what they were taking?
Yes.
During the day, when filming was going on, was the prop truck being overseen by a driver? A member of the Teamsters that you hired?
He might not have been there all the time, but he was around, yes.
Okay. And I want to just ask you a couple of quick questions about your experience. How many films or productions, or even TV is fine, have you been the unit production manager on prior to this?
Prior to this, 3 or 4.
And did any of those other productions have an armorer?
They did not.
This was the first production you worked on that had an armorer?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. I don't have anything further.
Just real briefly, I asked you earlier about, you were saying that you don't remember, you couldn't see if Mr. Baldwin was paying attention during that training.
Correct.
You're calling your pretrial interview that you did indicate he wasn't paying attention?
I had been told he wasn't paying attention. I did not physically see it.
Okay, so, and I don't want to get into the hearsay comment.
Sure.
So, but you didn't see it yourself?
I did not.
Okay. With regard to the, with regard to the accidental discharges, were you aware that there was a discharge with special effects?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Ron.
You're excused.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next witness. Okay, first of all, guess what? You need to approach again. I don't know if you think it's your lucky day, but we're going to break early. I think from the faces I see, it's a good thing. Okay. All right, but we have one question that we're going to ask you to go back in to your room and answer this question, and then come back out and get dismissed, and we give you all the don't forget language. Okay, it'll come clear to you. You're all going to go out. He's going to ask you that question. He's going to get your answer, and then he's going to give me the answer on that piece of paper, and then you all are going to come back in. Okay?
All rise.
All right, you may be seated.
Okay, we seem to have a bit of a break waiting for the jury to come back in from answering those questions. I'll put it on 2.0 speed till they come back.
when we're waiting here for the jury, and Haven and I are, shooting the breeze, that it was being picked up on court TV, so, people knew that I walked my dogs when I got home, things like that, and so we just want to make sure we were all kind of squarish on which things trigger us going on court TV, so that's why we went in the hallway. We didn't mean to be secretive, we just wanted to take a breather on feeling, a little, tight up here, that's why, okay? So, we want to share that because we didn't want to leave that impression. Okay, so, they're supposed to write it down here, but you can tell me.
Do I need everyone to individually write
No,
those?
I mean, just, let's see. And I'm sure you all are doing it as well, counsel. You're doing the same thing I'm doing, right?
I'm sorry, Your Honor?
You're reminding your witnesses not to watch court TV?
Yes,
Okay.
and we did mention experts, but other than that.
No experts were included?
At the start, Your Honor, we talked about experts we needed to watch.
Oh, I didn't understand it that way.
I think that we agreed that our experts get to watch.
Oh, okay,
because
that's fine.
They would
Okay.
be allowed in the courtroom.
Yeah, okay, I misunderstood. So, anyone that's not an expert witness, please do not get on court TV to watch, what has preceded you, because we invoke the exclusion rule. Hello? Okay, jury, so like I said, it's your lucky Friday. So, you're getting recessed, and please don't talk among yourselves or anyone else about the evidence received here in court. Don't be looking at any news media accounts or any type of account, and anybody, and TikTok or whatever. And, don't Google anything, about the Rust situation, the production or anything, or about the trial, and, don't do any research, okay? All right. Have a very rested weekend. We'll see you Monday at 8:30, okay? All right, thank you.
All right.
And you know where to go on Monday. Okay. Don't forget to get those exhibits over to K.
Yes,
Through.
Josh.
Okay. Okay, thank you. We're in recess. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. If anything comes up.
Okay, and that concludes this second day of Rust, and we will see about doing it tomorrow after we conclude with in Connecticut with the jury instruction conference. So thank you very much for joining me. Have a great evening. Bye.